But moving on to Bitcoin, which is our favorite, right? ETF flows, I've been really crazy about the Far Side. Shout out Far Side UK. Love you dudes. This website's awesome. Let me put the link in the chat in case you don't have it. You guys need to definitely bookmark this and check it every day because it's awesome. It pulls the data live from the API data that is from each provider, and it gives us the Bitcoin flow in US dollars. And one of the biggest things that we have been trying to track out is figuring out when on earth is Barry Silbert going to be bled dry. The dude had 650,000 Bitcoin approximately going into this ETF approval, and he has dumped about 350,000, I believe, Bitcoin. This is in millions, so it's not going to track. But regardless, you see this gigantic dumping of Bitcoin into the market. So the halvening was originally 900 Bitcoin per day, and Barry was dumping well in excess of that. We've now gone into the halvening, and now there's only 450 Bitcoin mined per day, which is still a lot, but it's half, and that's bullish. But now we're trying to actually see what happens to Silbert, and this actually happened. May 3rd is when we had our first grayscale inflow. It quit bleeding. Now we went back and had some bleeding again, but the point is it actually happened. We actually hit a point at which grayscale quit bleeding and actually inflowed. And if we can get grayscale offline as far as a continuing dumping on the market, I'm really running out of reasons to why number don't go up. Just the miner revenue, or the miners dumping was cut in half, and then Silbert, which was like 10 times that, is coming offline. Now, he's not going to go to zero, but we weren't really sure, so we were tracking where he's bleeding out to, and he got about 300,000 or just below 300,000 Bitcoin left, and it actually did an inflow. Now, note with this, they actually said they are going to be releasing a new product that the people from GBTC will be able to transfer into, and it will be lower fees than these other offerings from like Fidelity and BlackRock. So it's suspected that that's really why we kind of saw this inflow, and that may be the case. But yesterday we had a zero flow on Grayscale, which is awesome. I'll take a zero. It's not negative, it's not positive, but seeing a zero is huge. And then today was actually another net outflow. But the point is I think we're actually getting there to that number. We were projecting that sometime this summer we were going to be hitting zero on the Grayscale outflows, or I'm sorry, later this year, if he kept just absolutely obliterating his bags, he was eventually going to have zero Bitcoin. We knew that wasn't going to happen, but it gave us the window of like, man, this summer's really probably where he stops. We're starting to see this formed. If we can get a few more weeks where this keeps sustaining, we're going to really have to like call it and say, hey, this liquidity is kind of gone. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see where all this goes, because as much as this range is just chopping people up, going sideways, it takes a lot of liquidity to maintain price that with this much buying, just in general. So, yeah, that's my summary with that, and just keeping it in mind. We're getting closer to that being done. The halvening's already happening. Hong Kong ETFs went live, just very little volume in comparison, but anywho, transitioning on, and to also kind of prove a point when we talk about like feeding all these mouths that want to inflow. Have you ever looked into a whale called Mr. 100? If you don't know who this guy is, there's a whale on chain who continuously buys Bitcoin, a single entity, and he buys in roughly 100 Bitcoin clips at a time. This single entity, this single whale, was consuming 67% of all mining by himself. So the point being, miners cut in half, Grayscale bleeding out. When we go into full-on crazy bull mode, we're going to run out of supply, and it's just no way around it. And when there is high demand, low supply, you kind of know what happens after that, right? So we'll see. What's up, Fletch? No, Mr. 100 is not Sailor. Sailor buys on Coinbase, and he buys with an algorithm that buys in itty bitty chunks. It's actually really cool. As you can I've seen it a few times. The algo goes pretty wild, and the order books at Coinbase just look really, really weird, for what it's worth. But that's not that guy, Mr. 100, because it's also not on Coinbase Prime. Now back to, we've done this a bunch of times, the Wyckoff kind of update of accumulation. Is this distribution? Is this bull run over? Runner, what is going on? It's one of the two. It's distribution or it's accumulation. Like I said, it's one of the two. I don't know if I still have these schematics on here. Nope, I don't. They were up there, but I've deleted them. But you guys know what we've done. I've got a bunch of clips. I got a bunch of old videos archived. You guys can go check all those out. But the point being, we're getting what I to believe is the tail end of this. Now, originally, this is ugly. Reaccumulation to me is harder than accumulation because you don't have the nosedive into it. When you nosedive into it, it's a little bit easier for me. But regardless, this is what I think is playing out. This is the time frame back from the previous history where we hit. The first time we hit 60K, the colors rolled over and then we capitulated and tanked. This was roughly when like Bitcoin was banned in Bitcoin mining was banned in China and it went crazy. But this is what I'm seeing. Even though this is a downtrend that turned into accumulation and reversed, we're doing the opposite. We're coming up to distributing and then trying to make it reaccumulation. You've got the down, you have a second leg, and then it grinds. And then we jumped. And really, you know, the schematics look like this. This is the creek, and then it bounces. It's clean. It's one test. There's your spring. Bop, ba, da, ba, da. Argue all day long. Don't really care. It's one of the two. And this is kind of what I'm seeing is I'm getting reminiscence of this. And this was a few hits of this support level. And that is what we're doing now. Not perfect. None of this is perfect, but it definitely is rhyming to me. And I'm tired of seeing all of crypto since like April saying it's over, oh, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over, bulls are dead, da 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 da. We've gone into the halving. Chill out, dudes. We get a 30% retrace, hit 50. Da, 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 da. I'm just gonna buy more. I don't care. I don't think the macro halving peaks happened yet, personally. But regardless, we're seeing downward movement. A test into the local support block, another retest into the local support block, and now we're kind of going down here. Had a swing below the local support. When I say local support, what I'm talking about is these H4 order blocks. This is the top range. This is the bottom range. And then this one here is the old all-time highs. I have to zoom out, so bear with me. This is the old all-time high order block. I've drawn that here, and it actually intersects here. And lo and behold, that's where we actually kind of went above it and failed to hold it. And now we're kind of going through this, which is, to me, looking like reaccumulation. If I'm wrong, you're going to get closes below this that sustain, and we're going to bleed out until we find support, whether that's like 52K, 49K. There's really kind of an order block here with a bunch of pivots from like when the ETF was initially brought back online in the 40s. I'm not saying I think that's going to happen, but that's where the path is of, is this if this is distribution, we're going to go hunt some lows, find support, and then we're going to continue on with the upward trend of the bull market, hopefully, right? But if it's not, this is designed to grind everybody out, and it's looking like we're starting to try to finalize this back third of the accumulation range, if it is reaccumulation. And today we actually saw some really cool stuff that I wanted to share with you guys. And likewise, I also should mention all the guys, I've been grinding my butt off on YouTube, battling that algo and doing clips and thumbnails and all my free time, right? With my being a dad and engineer at the same time. It eats up my time, but I've been committed to it, and we've been able to grow the YouTube channel pretty good, and the YouTube's actually feeding us some stats back. So all the guys who follow the YouTube channel, big shout out to you guys. Much love. Any type of interaction with the channel helps us out. The Twitter algo is a bit easier to work with, but man, that YouTube algo ghosted me for a very long time. But regardless, back to the chart. Zoomed in. This is the H1 with the rainbow trend stuff. We got below this order block. This looked nasty. It looked real nasty. Now, this was a sweep below the liquidity, shook a lot of people out, and it got a lot of bears to short late. And then it kind of came back up, tested, kissed, and then kind of bled off that all-time high order block, which is from like 65 to like 69,000. That's such a huge range, but that's just what it is. But if you guys are a fan of my guy Malifestro, that's a sweep low, back up, and now we're actually finding support here. And the H4 order block held to a T. Now, it's too early to decide if this is like final confirmation. We may come and retest this. We're almost to the weekend. We don't know yet. But I really like seeing that. I'm going to switch over to H2. This is messy now. But the point is what was previously support, we broke through it, and then it retested again. This is a higher low that was tapped twice, and it bounced. I love seeing support hold. Now, I don't want to keep testing support indefinitely. That's not good. Eventually, you knock too many times on the door knocks over, and we're going to puke. Don't want to see that. But we are at the stage now where we had our opportunity for the bears to really drive through the bottom, and they didn't. We came back up. So now I'm really wanting to see the test of the all-time high order block, the recent all-time high, like the 74 order block. We still have to get through this gigantic mid-range, and if we can actually successfully climb through this right here is your jump across the creek. This jump here. Now, this is the old pattern from the old range, which was accumulation, not this. So it's not perfect, and that type of stuff. Patterns like that, I don't think are, I don't think they're really worth it, but they give me kind of ideas of the way this stuff paints, and I just like drawing it. But if we get this and we can grind back up, my God, if we go bam, 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 and then actually get back up to here, that's going to be super, super awesome. Now, with that being said, regardless, this is a crazy, crazy, crazy cryptic asset, right? Regardless of what happens, and this kind of goes back to my old Solana charts, until we start printing again above this, like the 73.7, the all-time high, we really need to pump our brakes when we approach this all-time high order block. Getting up to these order blocks is quite easy. Getting through them is the freaking monster, and sustaining through them is the monster. A lot of times they can freaking do a wick here, and then they just nuke and go back down. We've seen this so many times. What the whales are doing is they're baiting you. They're waiting for you to get your alert to say, hey, new all-time high, new all-time high. People long it late, and then they rip you down. It happens all the time. Right here's a good example. Wicked up, people got super, super long, and boom. And albeit, this doesn't look like a lot. It doesn't, but that's an 18% retrace. That got a lot of people. So you got to be really, really careful. We want to see stronger colors. We want to see volume roll in. We want to see the party go hard. So we've got a long way to go from where we are right now. I'm asking the whales to come back up 18% roughly. So anyway, what's up, JS? Appreciate you too, bro. Are you still holding your alts? Raged, I am still bagging stuff. So a lot of the projects that I think are worthwhile, I'm adding to bags. That's just where I'm at with it. It's the right thing to do. It's the wrong thing to do. Time will tell. But I do have positive cash inflow coming in from different stuff, and I want to expose it to the market. So I'm trying to grab like blue chips as well as more Bitcoin spot. Throw it in the vault. I'll talk to you in 2025 about it, unless we get crazy dumb trade setups, and then we can go from there. But that's my macro update on Bitcoin, the flows, the really, really big emphasis on Ethereum. Typically, I want to focus on Bitcoin because this is the king that everyone bows to. All the alts reply to this or move to this. And I guess to your point, JS, if Bitcoin capitulates, that's the time to really be scared, because if this thing moves down 20, your alts are going to puke like 50. It's nasty, nasty, nasty. But like I said, I stack cash, I grab here and there. If we get anything crazy like that, sure, I'll grab more on some of the stuff that's on discount. But yeah, that's our update there. Moving on,